Satyamev Jayate. In this topic, we are going to discuss about Karakoram Range. So let's get started. As you can see, this is the map of the Indian subcontinent. You have the Tropic of Cancer passing through it, passing through middle of India. And you have seen the structure called as Himalayas. Now this part comes again and again because I want to make sure that you understand there is a division of Himalayas, right? For every subsect of Himalayas, I will be talking about this part again and again. Now, of course, you can skip this part forward, right? So as you can see, you have the Himalayas. Now you have a confusion or misinformation that Himalayas are essentially a monolith. It basically means Himalayas are just one structure, which is not true. Himalayas is divided into four parts. Okay, you have the trans-Himalayas, that's the first one. You have the Great Himalayas, that's the second one. You have the mid-Himalayas, the third one, and the fourth one, that is the outer Himalayas. There is another set of Himalayas called as the Northeast Himalayas, which we will deal later, but essentially these are the four ranges of Himalayas that we are interested in, because these ranges were created according to the chronological order. The trans-Himalayas were created the first, second the Great Himalayas, third the mid-Himalayas, and later the smallest Himalayas, the outer Himalayas, were created the last. Okay, so this is arranged according to the chronological order. We are interested in the trans-Himalayas, right? So as you can see, this monolith has been divided into four parts. Okay, let me just show you again. Okay, so that's Himalayas. Okay, the entire stretch of Himalayas you see as a complete monolith. Now it has been divided into four parts. Okay, and these are the four parts. At the very top you have the trans-Himalayas. Then you have the Great Himalayas. Okay, in Great Himalayas you have the Mount Everest and all those stuff. Then you have the mid-Himalayas and the outer Himalayas. The trans-Himalayas were created first, right? This is something that we have discussed way earlier, right? So we are going to focus on the trans-Himalayas, okay? The one at the top, the trans-Himalayas. So essentially, this is the trans-Himalayas, okay? As you can see, this is the trans-Himalayas. Let me just go back and show you. At the very top, you have the white color mountains, that is the trans-Himalayas. And we have just enlarged this image. Okay, this is essentially the trans-Himalayas, the whole set of trans-Himalayas, right? Now we want to divide trans-Himalayas further. Okay, first we divided Himalayas, now we have to divide trans-Himalayas also. So Himalayas, trans-Himalayas, Great Himalayas, mid-Himalayas, outer Himalayas. Now if we divide trans-Himalayas, you have the first one, the northern one, that is the Karakoram Range. The second one is the Ladakh Range. The third one is the Zanskar Range, and the fourth one is the Kailash Range. Okay, Karakoram, Ladakh, Zanskar, and Kailash Range. So we are essentially interested in the Karakoram Range. Okay, to make you or to give you a perspective. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Okay, you have the Himalayas once again, trans, great, mid, and outer. I know I'm repeating it again and again, but this is very essential because you will keep on forgetting about the division of Himalayas, the four Himalayas, right? The four ranges. Now at the top you have the trans-Himalayas, and trans-Himalayas also has four ranges: the Karakoram Range, the Ladakh Range, the Zanskar Range, and finally the Kailash Range, right? We are only interested in this part, the Karakoram Range, right? The Karakoram Range is part of trans-Himalayas, which is part of Himalayas, right? I think you have got a perspective. Now remember this, when I am explaining Ladakh Range, Zanskar Range, and Kailash Range, I will be showing this section again to make you just repeat, to make you understand again and again, so that it gets embedded in your skull, because this is very essential, right? Okay, so let's focus on the first range, that is the Karakoram Range. Okay, so we are going to talk about the Karakoram Range, and okay, so you have the trans-Himalayas, and as you can see, it basically covers parts of China. Okay, then you have India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. These are the four countries where you can find the trans-Himalayas, right? Four countries are China, India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. The four countries where you can find the trans-Himalayas. Now, we are only interested in the Karakoram Range. So, we are going to split it. As you can see, these ranges has been split. The trans-Himalayas has been split into four parts. The very first part is the Karakoram Range. Then you have the Ladakh Range. Then you have the Zaskar Range. And then you have the Kailash Range. Karakoram is at the top. Then in the mid you have the Ladakh Range. Then you have the Zaskar Range. And then you have the Kailash Range. All four. Okay, that's how the division of trans-Himalayas is done. Now we are only interested in this part, that is the Karakoram Range. So let's remove all of them. Okay, so this is the Karakoram Range, the northernmost part of the trans-Himalayas. As it happens, the trans-Himalayas is the northern parts of Himalaya. So essentially, the Karakoram Range is the most northern part of Himalaya. Okay, let me repeat it again. You have the Himalayas, and the northern part of Himalayas is the trans-Himalayas. The northern part of trans-Himalayas is the Karakoram Range. So essentially, the Karakoram Range is the most northern part of the entire Himalayas. How awesome is that? Now, Karakoram Range is essentially also known as the backbone of High Asia. We won't discuss why it is called as the backbone of High Asia. Just understand it's known as the backbone of High Asia. That's all. Done. Okay. Backbone of High Asia. That's a nomenclature or name given to the Karakoram Range. Moving on. Now, we should understand a few more things. As you can see, you have or you may have heard about K2. Okay, K2 or Godwin-Austen. So K2 is essentially the second highest peak in the entire world. You obviously are familiar with the highest peak, that is Mount Everest. Okay, the second highest peak is K2. K2 is located on this particular range. This particular mountain is located on the Karakoram Range. Okay, now there is a confusion. Where is K2 located? NCERT books mentions K2 is located in India. Now, if we go deep into the maps, you will understand K2 is not part of India. Let's understand. Okay, so this is the whole map of the northern part of the subcontinent. You have China. Okay, that's China. You have India. You have Pakistan. You have Afghanistan. And at the top, you have Tajikistan, right? Let's understand one more important thing, okay? I'm going to focus limelight on Afghanistan, okay? So your question is, why Afghanistan? It's important. There is a small structure or essentially a corridor between Tajikistan and Pakistan, which is essentially a part of Afghanistan, okay? A small structure that goes, okay, as you can see, a small structure, a neck-like structure. So what is this neck-like structure called as? This structure is known as the Wakhan Corridor, okay, the Wakhan Corridor. It's between Pakistan and Tajikistan, essentially part of Afghanistan. A very important substructure, right? This is essential to understand, right? Now, let's understand that India, the current map of India that is shown in our textbooks, is not essentially right. There are parts of Kashmir which is with China. There are parts of Kashmir which is with Pakistan, which is known as Pakistan occupied Kashmir, right? So this is how it looks like. Okay, essentially the one in red, Aksai Chin, is with China. In green is Gilgit-Baltistan, which is located in Pakistan, right? It's not in India. Indian authorities don't have access or administration in Gilgit-Baltistan or Aksai Chin. Pakistan controls Gilgit-Baltistan. Aksai Chin is controlled by China. It's sad, but that's the truth. So essentially, Gilgit-Baltistan is part of Pakistan, right? So the question is, where does the Karakoram Range lie? Okay, what is the extent of the Karakoram Range? As you can see, this is the Karakoram Range. Okay, the southern part of the Karakoram Range, as you can see, lies in Aksai chain. Right? Then there is a small part that is located in India. The major part is located in Pakistan, in Gilgit-Baltistan. The northern point is located in Afghanistan, that is called as the Wakhan Corridor. Let me repeat it again. The southern part is located in Aksai Chin, right, which is part of China. There is a small part which is located in India. There's a small part, there's a big part which is located in Gilgit-Baltistan. And essentially, the tip or the northern part is located in Wakhan Corridor. Essentially, our Himalayas start from Afghanistan, right? That's Wakhan Corridor. Okay, so I hope this ease your confusion where the Karakoram Range lie. Okay, now there is an important thing that we have to discuss. Okay, as you can see, there is a small part called as the Pamir Knot. Now we have discussed about Pamir Knot in our earlier lecture. So as you can see, this is Pamir Knot, and Pamir Knot is that place where several mountain ranges come and converge. If you remember, the Pamir Knot was that place where the Tian Shan mountain, the Kunlun mountain, the Himalayas, the Hindu Kush mountain, and many other small mountains converge at that point. Pamir Knot is located in Tajikistan and Afghanistan. Okay, as you can see, Karakoram Range is essentially going to collide with Pamir Knot or going to converge into Pamir Knot. That's a very important fact that you have to know, right? Pamir Knot. Now let's move on. Okay, so we have essentially discussed where the Karakoram Range lies. Okay, Pakistan, India and China, major part in Gilgit-Baltistan, which is in Pakistan, right? So there are many peaks. Okay, essentially the Karakoram Range is a set of a lot of mountains. Among these mountains, there are like 4 or 5 mountains whose height exceeds 8,000 meters. There are 4 mountains. Okay, essentially there are 18 mountains which exceeds 7,500 meters, and out of these mountain ranges, out of these mountains, there are around 4 of them which exceeds 8,000 meters. Okay, so as you can see, these are the 4 mountains. This is almost the exact locations of these mountains. The first one in golden is K2. Okay, the second one is Broad Peak. The third one is Gasher Brum, and the fourth one is also Gasher Brum, that is 1 and 2. There are 4 or 5 Gasher Brum mountains. I'm not that expert on these mountains, but there are many of them which is named after, which is named as 1, 2, 3, 4 and on. Okay, essentially K2 is the tallest one. The tallest one in the entire world is Mount Everest. The second tallest is K2, right? So what's so special about K2? Now, K2 we have to discuss in detail. This is because K2 is mentioned in NCERT. K2 is also the second highest mountain range, second tallest or second highest mountain range. The height of K2 is 8,611 meters, almost 8.6 kilometers. It's very difficult to climb. K2 is like the toughest mountain to climb. The fatality rates are significantly high. We will discuss that. Okay, so as you can see, K2 is located in parts of Pakistan. Essentially, it's located on the boundary of India, Pakistan and China. But if you analyze further, if you go in deep, you will realize it's actually located in Pakistan, Gilgit-Baltistan, right? India, though, however, claims that K2 is ours. So K2 has a lot of names. Okay, it's known as Godwin-Austen. So this guy is Godwin-Austen. This guy did a lot of mapping work around this area, and that's why this mountain is called as Godwin-Austen. Right? Remember that this guy didn't successfully climb to the top or the peak of K2. He actually went around the whole area and mapped the whole area. There were two other guys who actually were the one who scaled K2. Okay, so there are other names called as the Savage Mountain, Mount Godwin-Austen, and Chogon and something. Okay, we are only interested in Godwin-Austen and K2. Now this mountain range is quite steep. For example, this is Mount Everest. Okay, this is Mount Everest, and as you can see, the slopes are still can be climbed. Okay, as you can see, the slopes can be climbed. This is K2. Okay, because of the angle, it's very difficult to climb. This is Mount Everest, this is K2. Okay, so this is a challenge to climb K2. Right? Now, as you can see, there were two gentlemen who actually climbed K2, and their names are actually Compagoni and Lino Ladici. We are not interested, but for the sake, I've just added this information. Right? Actually, and Lino. Okay? These are actually from Italy. These two gentlemen scaled K2 first. Now, let's talk about how difficult is this to climb. Okay? As you can see, this is the list of K2 and Mount Everest. Out of 700, okay, 700, there were 96 deaths. Okay, 700 people tried to scale K2, but however, 96 people died. In case of Everest, 11,341 people tried to scale Mount Everest. However, the death rate is only around 330 people died. If you take the percentage, the fatality rate is 13.7% in K2. However, Everest, despite being the tallest structure in the entire world, the death rate is only around 3%. There's a significant mismatch between the death rate or the fatality rates in K2 as well as Everest. So, the point being, if you try to scale K2, you have a chance of 13.7% that you are going to die. However, if you try to climb Mount Everest, only there is a chance that 3% that you are going to die. I hope you go for Mount Everest. All right, moving on. Now we are going to look into the length of the Karakoram Range. Essentially, as you can see, it's around 500 kilometers. Okay, it starts from the southern end, that is Aksai Chin in China. It goes through India, okay, parts of Ladakh and all, and then reaches Gilgit-Baltistan, and at the very top, it reaches the Wakhan corridor in Afghanistan. That's the northernmost point. Essentially, we are going to now discuss about the glaciers located on the Karakoram Range. So your question is, what is a glacier? So imagine this, you have a mountain and you just wrap ice around it. That's glacier. In simple terms, that's glacier. There's a mountain and you wrap ice around it, that's glacier. Okay. So when this ice melt, it becomes river. That's all you have to understand. For the time's sake, we are just going to focus on the glaciers that are located on the Karakoram Range. Now you should understand that most of the glaciers, okay, the megastructures glaciers are located in the polar regions, Arctic and Antarctica, right? However, there are glaciers which are significant in size that are located in Himalayas and many other mountain structures of the world. Siachen Glacier is one of the most important glaciers. Along with it, you have Biafo Glacier, Hispar Glacier and Baltoro Glaciers. These all glaciers are located in the Karakoram Range. Right? So let's start with the Siachen Glacier. So this is Siachen Glacier. Okay, I have removed all the other glacier. Siachen Glacier is the longest glacier in Himalayas. Remember that it's the longest glacier in Himalayas. And also remember, Okay, it is one of the highest battlefields in the world. You keep learning about Siachen glaciers a lot, okay, in the news. Now, there are military outposts of both India and Pakistan. As per for the geography, we are only going to discuss about the geography, not the politics involved in it. So this is the Siachen Glacier. Okay, as you can see, it's pretty much in shape of a triangle. Okay, it's shape of a triangle. Now there is a very important information that you have to know. Okay, you have already seen the map of India. India, the northernmost part of India is known as Indra Kol. Okay, and this is where Indra Kol is located, somewhat to the north of Siachen Glacier. This is that part where the Indian government or Indian authorities can exert its influence. Okay, Indra Kol is the limit, the northern extreme of India. Indra Kol. So this, if you have learned a little bit of geography, is located around 37.6 degree north. Okay, 37.6 degree north, that's the most extreme northernmost point of India. Okay, beyond this it's Pakistan and China. This is the extreme where India can exert its influence. 37.6 degree north, Indra Kol. And it's located almost at the top of Siachen Glacier. Okay, and Indra Kol is also that point where there is a tri-junction. You have India, you have China here, and you have Pakistan here. Right? Now, to explain you better, let's see in a different perspective. The red triangle, that's Siachen Glacier. And as you can see, it's pretty much in India. Some parts is in China and some parts is in Gilgit-Baltistan, that is Pakistan. Right? So that's Siachen Glacier. Now we are going to discuss about other three glaciers. One is Biafo Glacier, the Hispar Glacier and Baltoro Glacier. Only the Siachen Glacier is located in India. Biafo Glacier is located in Pakistan. Hispar Glacier is also located in Pakistan. Baltoro Glacier is also located in Pakistan. Let's have a look at Biafo Glacier. So this is Biafo Glacier, right? And it's considered as the world's third largest glacier, non-polar glacier. As I mentioned, there are glaciers in the polar parts, Arctic and Antarctic. There are big glaciers in Arctic as well as Antarctic. But Biafo is world's third largest glacier. Second is Siachen. First is a glacier that is located in Tajikistan. Second is Siachen. Third is Biafo. Second and third non-polar largest glacier is both located in Karakoram Range. Interesting, right? All right, so that's Biafo Glacier, right? So let's have a look into the location. Okay, so that's Siachen and that's Biafo Glacier. Okay, that round is Biafo Glacier. Next, have a look into the Hispar Glacier. So that's Hispar Glacier. Okay, it's located in Gilgit-Baltistan. As you can see, it's located in Gilgit-Baltistan. Next, we have one more glacier, that is Baltoro Glacier, and this is the most northern glacier in Karakoram Range, Baltoro Glacier. So this is also located in Gilgit-Baltistan. Okay, so essentially that's pretty much about the glaciers. Now, the Karakoram Range has two rivers that joins from above, from Tibet. One is the Karakraks and the second one is Yarkant. Now these two rivers are in Tibet. It doesn't interest the UPSC examiner because it's in Tibet, that's all. Okay, but for the time's sake, for the convenience sake, I just mentioned it as there are two rivers, that is Karakraks and Yarkant river. Okay, if it comes, then just add. You will know that these two rivers come from Tibet and it's in the northern part of Karakoram Range, right? So what's next? Now we are going to learn about the passes. As you can see, this is the Karakoram Pass. Okay, and it's located almost in Siachen Glacier. As you can see, it's marked in red triangle. Siachen Glacier, Karakoram Range, Karakoram Pass. So this is how the entire setup looks like. You have K2, you have Indra Kol, you have Karakoram Pass, you have Siachen Glacier, you have Biofo Glacier, you have Hispa Glacier, and you have Baltoro Glacier. All the glaciers, all the most important peak, and Indra Col.